Just days after new data officially crowned Nigeria as Africa's largest economy, this powerhouse of 170 million citizens reeling from the biggest attack yet on the capital. A Monday morning rush hour blast at a busy bus station on the outskirts of Abuja, blamed on the radical Islamist sect Boko Haram. We're going to take a look at a group whose name literally means Western education is forbidden, and the heavy-handed tactics the government is using, with most recently the mass slaughter of inmates during a failed jailbreak by Islamists. How do you, though, deal with Boko Haram? And what's the alternative to the solutions put forth by religious zealots in an oil-rich nation with an ever-widening gap between rich and poor? This as the challenges mount to President Goodluck Jonathan's bid for re-election next year. Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at Nigeria and how it deals with Boko Haram. With us, Nigerian political consultant Emmanuel. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you as well to Emmanuel DUPUY of the Institute for Prospective and Security Studies in Europe. Welcome back, sir.
Hello, François.
And always good to see Louis Magloire KEUMAYOU, chair of Paris's African Information Club. African Information Club, which is?
African is a club where you meet all the journalists working on African issues here in France, and mostly in France, because there are others working on African issues in Europe, in the rest of Europe.
All right. And joining us from Washington, D.C., he's the former U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, John Campbell of the Council on Foreign Relations. Thank you for being with us here in the France 24 debate. The France 24 debate, where you can join the conversation on Facebook and on Twitter. Our hashtag F24debate. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Campbell, because we've had this disturbing story come out today from northeastern Nigeria. I want your reaction to it. Is suspected Islamist extremists abducting some 100 female students from a school, some of them managing to escape from the back of an open truck. This was after midnight, a school in Chibok on the edge of the Sambisa forest, and that is in Borno State. What's your reaction when you see this story?
Some of it fits what Boko Haram has done before. That is to say, there have been occasions when it has attacked a school. It's separated the boys from the girls. It's killed the boys, and it's told the girls to go home, find husbands, and be good Muslims. The location of where the attack apparently took place, on the edge of the Sambisa forest, is also an area where Boko Haram has been operating. What the fate of the young women who have been kidnapped will be, I don't know.
All right, and we'll talk about it. There you see the map of where that area is, Borno State. And it brings us to the story that made news around the world. The death toll rising to 75, say authorities, from Monday's blast. Again, the biggest such attack to hit the capital, Abuja.
Rescue workers rushed survivors to the hospital. Dozens are dead after a blast at this bus station during morning rush hour in Abuja. The bomb left a hole more than a meter wide, and authorities believe it triggered secondary explosions when nearby vehicle fuel tanks were ignited.
The minimal information that we can gather so far was that the explosion emanated from a vehicle, and it affected quite a number of people.
No one has claimed responsibility for the attack, though when Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan visited the scene, he pointed the finger at Boko Haram, the terrorist network that wants to carve an Islamist state out of the country.
The issue of Boko Haram attacks is quite an ugly history. The government is doing everything to make sure that we move our country forward.
Since the beginning of the year, more than 1,500 people have lost their lives in violence linked to Boko Haram. The president issued a state of emergency last May for 3 states in the northeast, where the group has mostly concentrated their attacks, hundreds of kilometers from the capital in central Nigeria. There are fears the attacks will increase when the emergency rule expires Saturday. Recently, Boko Haram's leader has said the group plans to widen its insurgency. It last struck Abuja in 2012 when suicide car bombers targeted newspaper offices, an attack that left 7 people dead.
All right, and a first reaction from one of our viewers, Agibou Diallo, saying what Boko Haram is doing is not in accordance with Muslim law. They're not helping the Muslims, nor the Nigerians. Emmanuel, this attack on the capital, what was your reaction when you heard the news?
Well, it's a very terrible thing happening. I think I would like to commiserate with the victims and their families to start with. This year, 2014, is the centenary anniversary of the creation of Nigeria. And the country is celebrating at the same time. It's going to be a year-long celebration of the centenary anniversary. It's a period we are supposed to be all happy in Nigeria because we've survived as a nation state for 100 years. You also mentioned in your news the good news that came to Nigerians this week, that the country has become Africa's largest economy because they have updated the ways they calculate the wealth of the nation, and the country has taken over, let me say, from South Africa in that position of the most powerful economy in Africa. This is supposed to be a period of joy for Nigerians, and this has happened.
How do you explain it? How do you explain the fact that there is this attack on the capital at this time?
Well, I think since 2010, we've been grappling with this Boko Haram. Probably they've been in Nigeria almost a decade before 2010, but not really involved in this kind of massive violent attacks. But 2010, that has been building up. We saw this increasing as political rivalry, political tension also grows between the different camps in the Nigerian polity. And I think what's going on now...
So this is mirroring mainstream politics, you think?
This is what has happened in Abuja now probably can be seen as a new strategy to start a new wave of attacks that are going to repeat themselves as we run up to the 2015 elections, which will be coming out in 1 year's time, in March, April 2015. And I think the political tension in the country now creates a favorable climate for this kind of thing to develop and actually distracts the attention of the government from really trying to tackle this problem of Boko Haram.
Louis Magloire, KEUMAYOU, your thoughts on why Boko Haram, we've said that they've been weakened, we'd said that there had been reports of leaders being killed which weren't authenticated in some instances. Why is it that it's so difficult for the Nigerian government?
The fact is that I don't think there is a link between the fact Nigeria becomes the largest economy and the fact we have these attacks right now. The fact for me is that at the present time, there is a big challenge for the security in that precise zone around Lake Chad for all the countries, neighboring countries of the Lake Chad, Cameroon in first, Niger, Chad, and they should probably work together in way to find a solution to the Boko Haram issue. Because if you fight them in Nigeria and they can go and hide themselves in Cameroon or in Chad or maybe in Niger, you are not resolving the problem. You are just playing with them and then they are hiding themselves when they want. So we need now to really challenge them in all the countries neighboring the northern part of Nigeria in order to obtain a certain result. And it's a challenge also for the regional integration, because sometimes when we talk about integration, we don't pay attention to the fact that it probably works in Western Africa, but it doesn't work a lot in the central part, because when you look at the issue in Gabon or in Equatorial Guinea, they say if we open widely our frontiers, we are going to face all the Nigerian population coming to us, and we won't be able to face it. So we need to close our frontiers in way to be sure we won't have to pay attention to that.
Emmanuel DUPUY?
Well, I wanted to add that we are in a special momentum. The electoral campaign has started. The general election will be taking place in 2015. It is definitely a strategy by Boko Haram, offering most visibility, showing that the federal security cannot provide the security that they are willing to decide. I'm saying this because a few weeks ago, there was a complete change of actors in the security agenda. There was a new Minister of Defense, General Aliou Goussao, who was nominated a few weeks ago. So the first thing is to show that no one can stop the ongoing violence which has been going on till the creation of Boko Haram in 2002. And of course, the restart, the relaunch in 2009 after the death of Mohamed Yusuf. And then the second thing is that hitting Abuja, as you mentioned, the last attack was in April 2012. There was also a very symbolic attack in 2011 against the United Nations offices, where 26 people were killed. The Boko Haram are not doing anything else than the Taliban had wanted to do with the general election in Afghanistan, because they will be more and more focused on the political capital of the country, and therefore hitting the capital is something which
how can blowing up a bus station win them any support with anyone?
I'm not sure Boko Haram wants any type of support. I don't think the fuel of Boko Haram or the Shiism of Ansarou is working on that strategy. We're speaking about terrorists, we're speaking about a sect, we're speaking about people who want to jeopardize the security agenda and show that there is dissensus inside the country. Something important you have to mention is that I don't think there is a consensus on the fact that a Christian president like Jonathan Goodluck wants. I don't think the political partners inside the People's Democratic Party even want him to be re-elected. A certain number of northern governors have said, and this again may be a sort of
right. But what does this have to do with Boko Haram? The questioning of whether or not Goodluck Jonathan should run for another term.
No. I'm saying that they want to disturb the election and show that the federal authority cannot do anything about ongoing terrorism and hitting the capital, as they have been hitting. You mentioned the fact that 1,500 people have been killed since 2014. There's another figure, and it's more, I think, more instructive, that 700 have been killed during the last 2 months. There's been an increase and a focus to show that this campaign will not be going on the right pace, and of course jeopardizing the succession of Jonathan Goodluck.
All you gentlemen mentioning there's this pre-electoral campaign mode that's part of the issue, and the candidates, the prospective candidates, have been weighing in. The former Nigerian Vice President Atiku Abubakar on Twitter Monday after the bombing, saying, we urgently need new methods and strategies to deal with our security issues, including accepting foreign assistance. Partially a nod to what you were saying about how there should be more cross-border help. But let me ask you, John Campbell, what do you think he means by that?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what he means by that. When he says that a new approach is required in the North, I would agree with that. It seems to me that what the Nigerian government has been pursuing has been a counterterrorism approach. That is to say, it has been responding with force, often quite brutal force. It seems to me that what may be required here is not counterterrorism, but counterinsurgency. That is to say, a multifaceted approach in the North which essentially peels away from Boko Haram, both its supporters, but also, and I think these are much more numerous, the people who acquiesce to what Boko Haram is doing. That means things like work on better roads, guaranteeing water supply, food security, all things that are difficult for a developing country to do, and also things that take a long time. And of course, with one Boko Haram attack after another, that politically becomes rather difficult.
Emmanuel Iga?
Yeah, we perfectly agree with the ambassador. The issue there is we need a solution to this problem in the short term, if not immediately. And talking of trying to develop the nation, combating poverty in the north of Nigeria, which helps Boko Haram to recruit jobless people that are living in poverty, etc. I think the government is aware of that. There is.
You say the government's aware of that, but before Goodluck Jonathan, there were Northerners that were in charge of Nigeria for a long time, and they didn't develop the North either.
Well, that is something that we can talk about. But I think the government has embarked on a very massive action to develop the northern part of the country. They are working on the railway system now. They are working on the roads. They are working on power supply. And I think the problem we have with Boko Haram is that right from the onset, what they have said is that Western education is sinful. This is a problem of religious thinking, which we have to find a way to address through some form of dialogue with the religious leaders that can talk to the Boko Haram people in the north. I think the people that are behind Boko Haram, I believe, are well identified by the authorities. They do know many of them. There has been an attempt to dialogue with them. There was even an attempt to have Saudi Arabia broker a discussion, which took place a couple of years back or 3 years back when probably before President Yaradua died. And all that was happening. We know the government is aware of the need to use a multifaceted approach, and they are doing it. They are talking with people who can help us to talk to the Boko Haram people. But for now, the Nigerians really don't know what the Boko Haram want in the country. We don't. This is an organization that is not coming out openly with the leader coming out to say this is what we want to do, and this is who we are. We don't know them. The public doesn't know them, but the government has been trying to talk through the back of the scene with people and using the heavy military tactics that we're also talking about. It's a two-pronged approach.
What Boko Haram wants, that's a point we'll be picking up on when we come back. Just before we go to the break, one comment from a viewer: please not again. We need peace in this country. Those making it ungovernable will not have rest on earth. Stay with us. You're watching the France 24 debate.